Hello everybody and welcome to Wesley's Plant World with me, Wesley Peterson. And today I have a fun video for all of you because I am going to be transplanting some of my small cuttings from different succulents that I have acquired. And at the moment they're all in soil and I want to put them in semi-hydroponics. And I want to do this to show you that you can put nearly any type of plant in semi-hydroponics. It absolutely works fantastically. Now all of these little cuttings I have in front of me that you can see, they were very small when I first got them. Very, very small. And I've been growing them out for around a year now actually. That's how small they were in the beginning. And they've just grown out to these lovely little bundles here. So now I am ready to put them all in semi-hydroponics because I don't want to be doing with dirt. I do have many plants still in dirt, but in this area behind me, all of the plants are in semi-hydroponics and I want to add these plants to these shelves. So I need to do the same with these. So I already have a couple of my pots here that are plant pots that I've already taken my soldering iron and put holes along the edges to create air holes for the roots. And the same with these small plastic cups. These are normal small plastic cups. I've just put holes in these as well. And these are the perfect size for these little plants I have in front of me here. So I'm going to quickly bring them up to the camera so you can see them closer, and then I'll name them all as I work with them one by one. So I'll put these little pots back on the side, and at the same time I have my leca balls that have been washed. I have boiled all these leca balls and they are fresh and ready for me to plant up my plants in, and those are the only two ingredients I need right now. Let's have a look at all of these wonderful small succulents I have in front of me so you can see what I'm going to be working with today. So here they are. I am so proud of all of these little plants. They were literally tiny and well, they've grown out to be beasts within around a year's time. And I can show you on some of them that they're getting pups, and I will show you around the size that I started these plants off. So if you look down here, you can see a little tiny pup growing off this plant here. That's the size of these plants when I first started propagating them. And they've just turned into this absolutely gorgeous arrangement here. From every single angle, they look so cute and they're quite amazing. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Lots of different varieties and types going on in my little container here. And then I also have this one here in a cup that has been growing in a nutrient mix. So look at this. This is the donkey's tail. Absolutely beautiful. And also ready to be put in a pot with leca balls because you can see it has lovely roots already grown out and ready to carry on growing. And just to show you how well this works, I do have a couple of other succulents that I already have in semi-hydroponics down here behind me. And I want to bring these forth so that you can see how well they do in semi-hydroponics. So these two plants here, I transplanted to semi-hydroponics probably around half a year ago, and they're doing fantastically. At the moment, because I haven't been here to top up their nutrient solution, they are a little dehydrated and they've started to fold their leaves up together to reserve the moisture that they have left. And I will show you that close up in a moment so you can see how that happens. But apart from that, these plants are doing really, really well. And when I top up the nutrient mix, their leaves plump out and they just look fantastic again. So this first plant I have to show you is called variegata, and it's really, really beautiful with these little white splotches all over these lovely dark green leaves. And this plant has been growing out fantastically for me. At the moment, yes, I can see. Oh yes, I can see. I didn't realize before. That's great. This plant is starting to produce me 2 new pups since it's been in semi-hydroponics. I'm so pleased about that. Have a look at this. So here it is, my beautiful variegata, and you can see the leaves are curled up because it's a bit dehydrated at the moment. And that's because if I don't go in and give this plant a watering through from the top, it won't be able to reach the nutrient mix that are in the bottom of the pot. So at the moment, there's no nutrient mix in this pot at all. So I really do need to fill up to halfway, and the roots will grow down towards the bottom in their own time so that the plant will be able to access the nutrient mix as it seeps down right to the bottom. But with the shallow roots at the moment, I have to water from the top, otherwise the roots don't get any. There is water that gets wicked up in between the leca balls, slightly up towards the roots, and that keeps this plant happy when there is a reservoir at the bottom. So despite all that, my plant is very happy, and these plants are used to being in drought periods where their leaves fall together and then they open up when they get watered again. So this is very normal and not a problem. But just have a look at this beautiful plant closer up. And now I want to show you the pups that I've just discovered. So there we go. Look how beautiful this plant is. Seriously. Lovely patterning, shapes and folds in all of the leaves. I really do like this. And only yesterday I had a leaf that I pruned off at the bottom here, but I didn't look at the plant closely. I just saw a leaf that was drying out. So I pruned that off, but underneath that, look what's happening. My plant has produced 2 new pups, and that is why that leaf was dying back. I understand now. So now I'm going to have a thicker pot of this plant very soon. And just to show you this plant, it's in semi-hydroponics. There's a slight little reservoir actually in the bottom. You can see all the air holes around the pot here. There we go. And that is where the oxygen gets into the roots. So this plant is very happy in this semi-hydro setup. So the next little plant I want to show is in the same situation. It is also, well, this one has more of a reservoir, and actually this one has roots that have managed to reach down to the bottom of the pot, I can see. That's exciting as well. Have a look down here. That is a root that has managed to reach down all the way through this pot, down into the nutrient mix in the bottom of the pot. That's fantastic. Again, you can see all of the air holes in this plastic pot that I used. And with time, I'm going to be transplanting all of my plants into see-through plastic pots. But this just shows you can use any kind of plastic pot you have to make a semi-hydroponic setup. So this plant, have a look at it from the top. This is Cross Gasteria Flow. And the fantastic thing about this plant is since it's been in semi-hydroponics, it's become stressed, which means that this plant, when I first transplanted it, it was bright green all over. And now it's turned this dark burgundy color, which I am absolutely loving. And just recently it started pushing out a little bit more green again in certain areas. And at the same time, since it's been in semi-hydroponics, this plant has pushed out a ton of pups. So if you look on this side, you can see a couple of pups. Isn't that amazing? And then round on this side, and then round on the back side here, you can see there's another bigger pup growing out here. So there are lots and lots of pups growing out on this plant, even though at the moment this plant is very dehydrated. As I said, I haven't been able to get in and water them because I haven't been home. And this is how this plant is looking. Extremely dark burgundy. It's absolutely gorgeous like this, knowing that this plant gets bright green as well. So I just gave it a little bit of water earlier that's run through, but not enough to plump it up in this time. And then I will be filling up with nutrient mix after I finish my video, and this plant will plump out even more. And because it's been under a bright grow light, I think that's what's caused it to turn this lovely dark burgundy, because the darker, the more shady it is, the more it will turn green. But it's absolutely fantastic, don't you think? Look at that. Wonderful tones going on in this plant. And this is just to show you again that these plants do well in semi-hydroponics. Now I do actually have one more of these succulents behind me here in semi-hydroponics that I'm going to be transferring into a smaller pot. And this beautiful little one I have here is called Orthiopsis limifolia. So let me show you this a bit closer as well without the cachet pot. And there you go, there you can see it. My beautiful Orthiopsis limifolia. And even this plant in semi-hydroponics has started to produce me a pup just down there in the middle. So even this plant is doing very well in semi-hydroponics. So what I need to do now is to dismantle my succulents that I have in front of me here, and I'm going to have to wash all of their roots till I get all of the soil off as much as possible. And that's really, really important when you're transferring a plant from soil to semi-hydroponics. You want to have as little organic material in the lecker balls and in the nutrient mix as much as possible, because otherwise that can create a rotting environment. So the first plant I want to start with is this beautiful plant I have here, and I have two examples. So I'm going to try and get them up. They can't stand up on their own because they're quite heavy. So I'll get one out at a time of their little tiny pots like that, and put the rest to the side for a moment, just like that. Ouch, they're spiky too. So these two beautiful plants here are called Aloe perfoliata, and they have lovely thick green leaves. And this is a spreading kind of succulent, and originally it comes from the southern parts of the African continent. And well, on the leaves they have these lovely white spikes, and they produce lots of pups. I can see on the one plant here it's produced 1, 2, 3, 4 pups, and this bigger one I have here has 3 new pups coming out of the bottom of it as well. So I want to get these put into one pot together to make me a big bunch, and I'm hoping they're going to carry on wonderfully. So first you need to see that these are in small pots with soil, and then I will take them up and show you how they look once I've washed off all of the soil. So look at these beautiful, amazing little plants. I am so pleased. They were more like the size of the small pups down here when I first started propagating these, and now look how they've grown out. So I hope they're going to carry on fantastically when I've taken them out of the soil and put them in the lecker balls. There they are. Aren't they just amazing? And with all their little pups. So I'll just take them out of their little pots so we can have a closer look at their roots before I go and wash them off here. There you go, you can see they have amazing roots. So now I need to get these freed of all this soil, and I'll be back in just a moment. So I've now washed off as much of the soil as I could get off the roots on these wonderful plants, and they're looking amazing. The very small pups that were growing around the edges I ended up pulling off, or some fell off, but I'm not worried about that because I'm just going to pot those up in soil in those small original pots that these ones were in until they grow out as big as these, and then I'll have even more to be able to add to my pot. So let's have a look at these 3 that I have here. So look at this, the roots are wonderfully clean, they've got long lovely roots, and the good thing about succulents is you don't have to leave the roots as long as this if you don't want to. You can prune them to half or all the way down, and these plants will grow out new roots by themselves anyway. They have enough moisture in their leaves to keep them going until they grow out new fresh roots. So really you don't have to worry too much about the roots. You're not going to damage them and hurt the plant in any way by doing this. Have a closer look at these wonderful roots. So look at those. Aren't they amazing roots? This plant will really take off well in semi-hydroponics when it has lovely roots like this. And there you go, the leaves from the top side again. So now I'm ready for the fun part, and that is getting these potted up into my new container here. And to do this, I'm just going to put my plants to the side here a moment and move my tray out of the way that I don't need right now. Then I have my lecker balls here, and basically I just need to fill up this pot halfway with lecker balls. That way I'll make sure the roots aren't all the way down into the bottom, they're around halfway, and then the plant can discover the rest of it itself when it's grown out roots that are more adapted to water. Because remember, these roots right now are soil-based roots. They're much thicker and robust, and these will start producing whiter, thinner, more delicate roots that will grow down to the bottom of this pot. So now I just need to get these placed in how I wish them to be, and then fill up with lecker balls as I go along. This smaller one I can wait with for a bit. Just need to fill up with some lecker balls first here to stabilize these two bigger plants. Just like this. So quick and easy. I just love the fact that it's so clean and tidy working with lecker balls. No soil anywhere. You should have seen the amount of soil just from those small pots when I was trying to get these plants cleaned up from the soil. A little bit on this side, and then I do need to place in this one, otherwise it's going to be too high up. Make a little gap here and put the roots down in there. Oh, they stick together quite easily, these plants. Now, support the little one too, as much as I can. It's difficult trying to hold them up with one hand while trying to get all of these lecker balls around to support the plants up at the same time. But I'll get there like I always do. I want them to stand up a little bit more. Oh, lecker balls flying everywhere. All over the floor. But as I said, they're clean, so it doesn't matter. Oh, I've got roots exposed and hanging around up the top here. Try and get those down, but it doesn't matter. They will, if they're not down in the lecker balls, they will dry out and slough off and can be removed later. So now they're starting to get more supported here. It's easier for me to work with them the last little bit. And there we go. There is my first transplant from soil to semi-hydroponics. And this beautiful aloe perfoliata looks amazing. 2 small pots made into this one bigger pot, and the plant just looks gorgeous. I have to bring it closer to show you. So here we go. Look at this lovely pot all the way around. 3 plants in here, and they're all going to fill out, and they're going to produce more pups and fill out this pot even more, and they look amazing. And I'm wondering now, because I've taken these plants out of soil and put them in lecker balls, and they're going to have periods of drought and so forth, and their roots have been pulled about a little bit, if they're going to get stressed and turn a lovely dark red for me all over. I think that could happen because, as I said, that happened with one of my other succulents. And well, remember how bright green these are, because if they do turn red, I will make another video to show you what they look like. But this is amazing right now. And then when my plants are like this, ready to go, they obviously need a cachet pot, otherwise they can't have some nutrient mix. So I have a cachet pot over here. I just need to pull one out from my shelf because that's where I have all my extras. Here is one that's absolutely perfect. And then I can put my plant in and finally see my final result. Whoops. There you go. Absolutely beautiful, and is going to look wonderful in my arrangement with all my other plants behind me here. And I just can't wait to see them fill out even more. They look absolutely amazing. So now I'm going to put some nutrient mix in the bottom to keep moisture coming up through the lecker balls, but only around 1 inch, so that I know the nutrient mix is below the roots, so that this plant doesn't start rotting out or anything like that. It needs a period of slight moisture to almost dry before it starts getting its roots covered in water. So the plant will work it out itself. I just need to keep on top of making sure there's enough water in the reservoir, not like I've done with the other ones and not been home and they've started curling up their leaves because they haven't been able to get the moisture. I need to be able to do that. But as I said, these are succulents, so they can take periods where they protect themselves by curling up their leaves. They'll just fold out again, no problem. So let's get some nutrient mix into this pot. Here we go, and just circulate the nutrient mix all around the plant. And that is me done. a slight amount. So now this plant is ready to go into my shelf there under the lights and start its new life, and I think it's going to do fantastically. So now that was the first plant done. I have many more to get through. Now you've seen the whole process, I'm just going to get on with this in fast forward with the rest of them and then show you the final result. Before I carry on, I just want to show you my Orthiopsis limifolia closer up and how the roots are doing after this plant has been in semi-hydroponics for around half a year. And as you can see, the roots have fastened to some of the lecker balls because they have little porous gaps and so forth in them that the minute roots and so forth can stick to, and it gives this plant a feeling of anchoring itself down and kind of like there's soil there. So look at all the roots and you can see how they've turned white and they're very, very healthy. And the plant looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm really pleased with the result of this. So I've got down to almost my last little plant that I want to get put into these lecker balls, but I need to show you this one because its trunk is too long to get down into the pot with the roots. So I'm going to completely start this plant off again. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do so that you know you can do this and you don't have to worry. Remember, this is a succulent. Succulents don't need all their roots. So here's this beautiful Aristalo aristata magic. Just look at that beautifully symmetrical plant. Well, as you can see here, the trunk is way too long. So I'm going to halve that and start this plant off again. And that will cause this lovely green ball here to turn bright red because it will be completely stressed, but it will produce new roots itself and it will carry on. So this is how you do it. Get your scissors, get your plant, and chop. That's it. So look what I've done. Half the roots, left an open wound, which will callus over by itself, and the plant will produce new roots itself in no time. This bottom part is not necessary for a succulent like this, but you couldn't do this with most normal plants. But with this kind of hardy succulent, you can. So I am getting there. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new plants in lecker balls, but I forgot when I looked behind me a little bit earlier that I have one more left here. Quite a tall one as well. If I can get it out from all my other plants down here. I have an Opuntia cactus that I also need to get put in semi-hydroponics. So have a look at this. So there we go, there's the top part of my Opuntia. And when I started propagating this plant, it was only as large as this part and it's around 2 inches tall. That's how the whole thing was. Now look at this plant. It is around 20 centimeters tall now. So if we go up like this, you can see, and I have it resting in a glass jar because it's been way too top heavy to keep itself up. But there you go, and it's in soil. So I also need to get this plant in. Ooh, we can take it up. You can see it's in soil here. There you go. Look at the lovely root ball. Now, I'm just going to quickly rinse that off and show you it again before I plant my plant. This is just so much fun. So here we go. I'm back and this plant has lovely roots. Look at these. Aren't they amazing? So this plant is going to do really well in lecker balls. Let me get it planted. You know what? I've decided this plant, of course, is not going to work out in a little tiny pot like this again. It's going to be too top heavy. So I'm going to get myself the pot that my Orthiopsis limifolia was in and put this lovely Opuntia in that instead. And I gave my Aloe perfoliata its nutrients mix just before, so I'll wait with that. So all I want to do now is put these on a tray just to bring them closer so that you can have a really nice closer look at them, and then I will be finished with my video for today. So here they all are, and they're just so cute and they're just so gorgeous, and I know they're going to do fine, and some of them are going to turn bright red and some of them will stay green. And that's also amazing, getting to see the changes of colours. But these little plastic cups that I found are absolutely perfect for semi-hydroponics. being able to put the air holes in the side, and then being able to fill up with the nutrient mix around the leca balls. So really, just don't overwater these in the beginning. No filling up the pots halfway or covering the roots with nutrient mix. Only a trickle through the leca balls to keep them moist, and a little reservoir at the bottom until the plants are settled in. But conversely, don't let them dry out too much because you'll lose all the roots. And even though the plants will survive for quite a while without you knowing, they will start curling up their leaves, and then you'll know that they need some moisture. But this was just to show you that you can get your succulents and they will grow in semi-hydroponics. They don't have to be in soil. And in fact, they probably prefer this because it's more like the loose, aerating, sandy soil that they're used to living in, or rocks, or wherever they live. And yes, these kind of plants love to be able to breathe around their roots, so it's just perfect. And here you have my lovely Opuntia ready to carry on growing out new branches and look fabulous for me. It's just so exotic, and I just can't get enough of these Aloe perfoliata. They are amazing. So I really hope this has encouraged you to get in and experiment with your own succulent plants and try them out in semi-hydroponics yourself, because it's just so much fun and it's so easy really. And if you haven't seen my video about what semi-hydroponics is, or the nutrient mix you can use and so forth, then you can go back and see my video where I explain all about that, and I'll put the link below in the video so you can find that as well to get more information about the whole process. But other than that, I am done with this video for the day, and I'm going to put my lovely plants in place in their cachet pots and give them their nutrient mix, and I'm just going to see how this develops, and we'll see in the future how they've done. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up, and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.